matter how old a man gets, he's always gonna have options. Younger, finer, fitter, willing. They wasted all their time telling all these good men, oh no, you're not my type, and I need a man that's gonna do all this stuff for me. Oh, you too broke for me. Y'all brag about the fact that y'all don't cook. You brag about the fact that you're not cleaning for nobody. You brag about the fact that you're selfish. You brag about all these things that are contrary to what a man wants. What happens is they start approaching that wall. Once they are approaching that wall, or once they hit it, they already got kids. They're not in their prime anymore. And then they get frustrated and try to convince other women that they also don't need men, because now they no longer qualify. Now what are you left with? You're broken, used, washed up, your self-worth, your dignity, all of that done gone. If you the prize, who the prize winner? If you the prize, where is the collector of the prize?
These are the requirements that you need to have in order to date me, a single mom of 3 kids. Number 1 is that you need to be making at least $130K a year, and you need to have at least 2 side hustles. If you cannot make $130K or more, then you are out of my fucking league. How do you expect to give me money for my kids if you only make $50K a year? Second is I don't date men that are younger than me because for obvious reasons. So if you are 26 and over, then you qualify. You have to have at least 3 cars under your name. Your second car has to have 8 seats because I have 3 kids. You have to get a home that has 6 rooms because each of my kids have to be in their own room.
What's going on with y'all, man? I was sitting around, just got out the shower. I was just thinking about some shit. And I think I got something y'all might be interested in. Because we all know that for the most part, women will say that they get smarter with age. They made mistakes when they was younger. That's why they chose. That's why they chose poorly. They didn't have time to grow. Some of them even say that's why men choose younger women, because she doesn't see the loser in you and all this and all that. I'm not here to debate that, for real, because I have videos on that already. But let me get this food real quick. I'm just trying to help y'all understand in this video that men actually choose poor too when they're younger. Most of them, not all, but most men, they actually choose bad too. Try to find this real quick. What the fuck is that? I mean, for the most part, when women are younger, they're more than likely going to choose somebody they shouldn't choose. Because just like men, they get older, they get wiser, they understand what they should choose, they have experience between what they want and what they don't want. It's the same thing with females. The only problem with that is the woman's worth comes quicker at a younger age, like her height of her worth comes at a quicker, younger age. So if she doesn't understand who to pick at a younger age, it's going to be almost impossible for her to pick somebody solid at an older age. Not that she doesn't understand now, oh, that's the guy I should pick. The problem is the car that she's trying to sell for the new car price is no longer a new car. Keep in mind, the older that you get, the more your standards raise, because the less bullshit you're going to put up with, because you've been through this and you've been through that, and you're a stronger person now. You're not going to put up with everything. You're just more intelligent when it comes to that. That's human nature. But the problem is the female don't really get a pass like a man does. And the reason why a man gets a pass more than a woman is because the man's worth don't really hit top tier until older, because men are judged more off of success. Women are judged more off of fertility and looks. I'm not here to nitpick, oh, not me, not this one, not that one. I said the majority, the sexual market value, the sexual market, shall I say. The man is judged primarily off of his success and stability. The woman's judged more off of her fertility and looks. Like it or not, I don't care. But you better understand it, or you're going to be one of the victims. You can't change the game. All you could do is play the cards that are dealt in the game and move accordingly to play the game to win. You can't change the game, though. You're not going to change the fact that men's success, men's primary worth comes later in life and women's come first, earlier. Sometimes it could be flip-flop, yeah, okay, whatever. But for the most part, it's not. It's what I just said. So if a woman plays around and fumbles her worth at a younger age, it doesn't mean that she can't recover or she can't find somebody solid or even better than she found when she was younger. It's possible, but it's going to be harder. And one of the main reasons why it's going to be harder is because she's already going to be hurt by men. So it's going to be harder for her to trust men, love men, etc. Versus when she was younger and never been hurt yet, she's just ready to have any boyfriend every day of the week. But once she gets smarter, she's got a shield over her. She got her guard up. Not only that, her standards are higher now. That's why you could have a nice car. When you was younger, as a man, you could have a nice car and you could pull women with the nice car. But as you get older, you can't pull women with that nice car because women's standards get higher. Same thing happens with the female later. She can't pull a man just because of her looks and her sex. As she get older, when she's younger, yeah, she can pull all kind of men that way, and she still can pull them, but she can't make them commit. She could get boyfriends that way, literally, just by looking decent and having and sex when she's younger, because men's standards aren't high yet. But as we get older, both people's standards get higher, believe it or not. The man's standards just go under the radar because the man's standards his standards aren't judged the same way, because his prime, if you want to call it prime, we got to call it something to separate what I'm trying to say. His prime don't necessarily come until older age. So he can have 5 kids, right? And still get women to want to love him and commit to him and all this other shit. If he becomes a decent, successful guy, got 5 kids, it's not going to matter. For one, the kids are probably with their mom, right? So women are still going to deal with him. If he's a successful guy and got kids, and some women don't even have kids and will deal with this guy, right? But on the flip side, the woman, she already got kids. She don't really want no more. She probably wants a guy with no kids, right? 9 times out of 10. I'm not saying it can't happen, but let's just stick to this for a second. The kids are usually with her, not with the dad. So most men are not going to want to deal with that. And keep in mind, she probably going to want a guy with no kids, not the guy with the kids. But even then, he probably still wouldn't want to, because it's a big responsibility. And it's even more of a responsibility when they're not your kids. Let me say it like this. I ain't going to say it's more responsibility, but it's harder for somebody to say, all right, I'll commit to that. It's harder because it's already hard to commit to your own kids. Not necessarily, don't take the words that I'm saying the wrong way. It's hard to be a parent. It's not an easy thing, right? So imagine you saying, all right, I'll be a parent to your kids too. Keep in mind, I'm speaking on the fact that why it's harder for a woman after a certain age. Just pay attention to that right now, because that's what I'm trying to touch on. Why is it harder for them? Why do they'll say, why do men go after younger women and all this? I'm giving y'all examples of why. I ain't saying it's right. I ain't saying every woman that's younger is better than every woman older, because that's not true. It's just simply not true. It depends on the female. What I'm trying to do is point out, letting women know that even if you may have fumbled your younger years, you better get on the horse now, and stop fumbling. But if you young and watching, you definitely need to not fumble. You need to really take your younger years seriously. But most women don't. That's the issue. They play around. They think they got more time than what they actually got. And before you know it, their prime window is over with. It's kind of like a basketball player trying to go to the pros, but you only got that window from like 18 to 23. And let's just say he decided to play around and smoke weed and stuff. And then when he get about 24 or something, we're going to say 18 to 20. Well, you can't really get drafted. You could be a walk-on, I guess. So we're just going to say 18 to 25. And then when he get 26, he want to try to play basketball now and try to get the same type of money he could have got if he was somebody coming out of high school or whatever. It's harder for them because they demand more now. And you can't blame them. A lot of y'all say, well, you got kids and this and that, you don't deserve more. A woman with kids and stuff, she should demand more. She has to. There's no way around it. How can she not demand more? She has kids to worry about. She can't be the same woman with no kids and demand the same. She's going to have to demand more. Even if she has her own money, she still got to demand more. And if she don't, then I don't know what she's doing. So she has to. And since she has to demand more, keep in mind, she has more that a man has to deal with. And she demands more. Her standards are higher and she has more to deal with. That makes it even harder for her to actually attract certain men. Versus when she was younger, maybe she didn't have kids yet and all this other stuff. Maybe she wasn't hurt by men. Her guard wasn't up, a lot. Not only that, what about the experience with all these men? She done already done this, and this, and that, and that, and that. So when she do it with you, it don't even hit the same. She already been to Red Lobster or did a vacation or did this or had kids or got married or whatever. So when it comes to you, it's not going to hit the same a lot of times. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to hit the same. So now you got to deal with that too. You got to deal with the fact that it's going to be harder for you to make this chick happy. For her to be satisfied, should I say. And I know a lot of them are going to say, nah, that's not true. It don't take much to make me happy and all that. That may be true. In some cases, right? But for the most part, probably not. Because people's standards raise as they get older. I don't want to go Red Lobster no more. I already did that with my past ex. Now you gotta take me here. You gotta spend $500 on the date, or I ain't dealing with you. All they standards is through the roof. Because for one, they have kids and stuff now, so they have to demand more. For two, they already been done wrong by men and all that, so they're not playing around no more. You know what I mean? And they at the end of the what you would call their time is up type of thing. So they trying to hit the winning lottery ticket type thing. But for a man, it's different. He's in his prime now. If he took care of himself and all that, he's in his prime now. Because the way he is judged is differently than how a woman is judged when it comes to sexual market value. So he can have 5 kids. He could have fucked up in life earlier and had a bunch of kids and this and that, and he's still going to get women to want to deal with him and be his chick. It's going to be easier, should I say that? It'll be easier. It just simply will be. It's going to be harder for the woman because of the sexual market value laws of her value is primarily based off of what she looks like and her fertility, and the man's is primarily based off of stability and success. So it makes it harder for the female because the older she gets, she has to demand more. But it's harder because she probably has more to deal with for a man to have to deal with. On top of the mental part of being done wrong by men and not trusting men and kind of fed up with men and already experienced certain things with men, so it's harder to make her satisfied and all that. It's just harder. It's just simply harder as she gets older. But the man standards raise too, which makes it even harder for the woman. On top of everything I just said, as far as like kids and being hurt by a man and having her guard up and all these, and just seeing certain things, she's not putting up with men and expecting more, because she should expect more out of a man. She got kids. On top of that, right? On top of all that I said, the man standards in a woman raises too. The only difference is the man is getting more of a pass from his past mistakes than a woman is, because his value in the market is judged off of stability and success. So it doesn't really take the same hit. You can have a woman and a man, they can make the same mistakes in life and then put them in the dating market at, let's say, 30. Let's say in their 20s, they made the same exact mistakes, right? And they got the same type of, they got the same kids and all this, or divorce and all this, whatever. It's not the same for the man that it is for the female, because of what they are judged off of when it comes to the value in the market. This is why you see men with 5 kids and still getting loved by women and shit. It's almost impossible for a woman to have 5 kids and a man really try to love her and be with her. 5 kids from another guy, it's almost impossible. I ain't saying it's impossible, but it's almost impossible. Because men don't even be wanting to take care of their own kids half the damn time. And her standards are higher and his standards are higher. So no longer can a woman just get away with just looking good and sex to pull men, because they're older now and their standards are higher. No longer will that work. So it's like everything's against her now, and she's not in the prime, so-called, what you would call so-called prime. And don't think I'm saying that every younger woman is better than the older woman, because that's not true. But I want y'all to understand what I'm coming from, so you can understand why this shit happens. So if you're a younger person, you might not make the same mistakes, and if you're an older person, you can stop making these mistakes and get your shit right like it's supposed to be. And just accept the game for what it is and play the game to win, instead of trying to change the game and change people. You're not changing people. You're not changing the game. It was here way before you was born, and it's going to be here way after you're gone. You're not changing shit. It was easier for them to pull men when it was younger because the man's standards was not as high. All you gotta do is basically be a nice person to look good and sex and pretty much the man's soul. So it was easy. Plus, on the fact that you probably didn't have kids yet or some shit. I gotta say that because that matters to most men. I'm not saying personally if I care or not, but it matters to other people. It's not about me. When I'm making this video, it's not about me. It's about worldwide market. If you think that it don't matter if you have kids or not, to most men, you're a fool. And honestly, it can matter if it matters to women too. But the problem is by the time it matters to women, they already have kids. So they want somebody who don't have kids, and it's going to be awful hard for that to happen. I'm not saying it can't happen, but I need you to understand why it's so hard for women when they get older. That same woman, if she would have just maybe the guys that she wants now, she would have been able to pull them easier before she had kids and all this drama and all this. That's just the truth. I ain't sugarcoating it. It's just the truth. But when you say these things, they don't want to hear it. Or they act like they don't understand what you're talking about. What y'all got to understand is the game does not change for anyone. That's why you have to play the game to win. You have to understand what the game is and then play it to win. So if you're a younger woman watching, even an older woman, it don't matter. If you're a woman watching, understand that your best shot at pulling the best guy more than likely is when you're younger. And I ain't trying to say you gotta be 15 or something. Don't twist what I'm trying to say. Just when you're at a younger age where you're not mentally destroyed by what men put you through, or you probably don't have a bunch of kids and all this. This is when you need to not play around and try to find someone solid. Go back to the car thing. This is when you need to try to get that new car price for your car. Let's say you buy a car and you got it for a year. You're like, man, I better try to get the much worth as I can out of this right now. You can't wait until unless like it's a collector's item and you preserved yourself. Now like an older woman who preserved herself, she like a collector's item. She worth more than what she was when she was younger because she preserved herself and she built herself up. Same thing with a man. And that's the men that they want. They want that collector's item man when they get older. They don't want the Pookie and Ray Ray no more. They want the collector item man, and that's why they're mad. That man that collector item man who's able to pull younger women because he's a collector's item, they want him to not deal with the younger women and deal with them. But again, you got to respect the game, and you can't change the game. That's why you should have played the game correctly when you was younger. And you had a chance to get those type of guys who are collector's items now at 30, 40. Who can still pull a 21-year-old because they're collector's items. It doesn't matter how good. A lot of them think it matters about how good they look or sex. But again, that only works when men have not raised their standards yet. Once men raise their standards, you gotta have looks, sex, money. He's looking for a girl that could be a good mom and all this stuff. But what happens if Yeah, you might be all that stuff, but you have certain things that he don't like or want to deal with, right? Maybe you have trauma, hurt from another guy. Maybe you have kids from another guy or something. Now it's harder to get that guy that's that collector's item. Remember, the man's prime comes later. That's the way the game is designed. I didn't make the game. That's how the game is. All I'm doing is making a video for people to wake the fuck up and understand. So they don't get played or end up looking stupid or alone or whatever. Forever. Well, why is Shannon Sharp messing with that young girl? I ain't saying he's right. But Shannon Sharp is a successful man who already experienced relationships and stuff. Goes back to that experience thing I was talking about. About she already had Red Lobster. She wants a more expensive restaurant now. You ain't impressed her with the Red Lobster. Well, Shannon Sharp then already had the marriage, the kids, and all that. And he's a successful man who still has the ability to pull younger chicks because he stayed in shape and all this other stuff. It's going to be awful hard for him to pick a woman who is his age, unless there's a woman out there his age that has the same success as him and took care of her body and all these other things. Because at the end of the day, the woman is still primarily based off of looks and fertility. So if he can pull somebody out of the, and what happened to him is probably a bad thing. He probably dealt with the wrong chick. He probably do need an older woman, but an older woman that has preserved herself and look and still look like that younger chick. Things like that. Because that's what matters. That's why a lot of times people go younger. Remember in that one video I said mainly because of looks, that's why most people go younger? Men, shall I say? Just like most women go older because of the stability. See, the game don't change. People are still gonna, the game don't change. The game is still gonna be what it is when it comes to what is the most valuable asset to when it comes to what people are looking for, women and men. That might not be your most important asset when it comes to a woman or man, but the market. And options matter because that's going to ultimately determine whether somebody sees you as a 10 or a fucking 2. Example. Let's take a woman who got a lot of options right now. She's 20 something. She got a lot of options right now. She sees you as a 2. Right? But as she get older and she don't have as many options no more because those younger women are getting the options that younger woman that she used to be. Now there's younger women who are that younger woman. She's the older woman who was taking all the options from the older women when she was younger. Right? Now she's older. Now you're a 10. And it's not just because the options, is because of her standards and what she likes in a man now versus when she was younger. Same thing with men. You don't like the same shit that you liked in a woman when you was 15. I would hope not. Right? That's why we can't really judge women when they raise their standards or their choice in men and what they want when they get older. Of course, they should be getting better with choosing what they want. We can't judge them for that. It's pretty obvious that they're going to get smarter when it comes to this shit. Problem is they need to figure that shit out at young when they got the most power to pull the best guy, not later when they don't have no power to do it. It's like they know what the best guy is now, and they want the best guy now, but now they don't have that same power. They don't have the same pull that they did have. And the man, when he was younger, he didn't have that pull or power, right? So let's say he get 30, 35, and now all those women that didn't give him that power, that pull to pull them, now they want him. But now he still wants the women that he wanted when he was younger that he couldn't get. But now he has the power to pull them. So why he's not 9 times out of 10, he's not going to get with a 35-year-old girl if he's 35. He's going to probably go to 25 or 21. Because now he has the power to pull them girls that he was trying to get, but he couldn't get because the older guys was getting them. The guys who was more successful. And that's what most females don't want to tell you when it comes to this younger dating shit. They don't want to tell you that they was the same women who was dating older men. The only reason why they're mad is because it's not in their favor anymore when they get older. When they was younger, it was in their favor. The other older women who were older than them was complaining and saying, don't deal with that young girl. But now that when she's no longer the so-called younger girl, because really 35 ain't old, but whatever, we got to make a separation. Now that she's an older chick, she kind of understands now. So that's why it's a problem. And it's not always their fault. You know what I mean? Their intentions was good sometimes. They picked the wrong guy. You know, the wrong guy do this or that. But that still counts. It doesn't matter if they was right or wrong or their intention was right or wrong. Again, the game does not change for you. The game's still going to be the game no matter how you look at it. The difference is the man can make the mistake. The man can pick the wrong women, have the kids by the woman, and he's still going to get picked more than likely because he's not judged the same way. It's just, that's what it is. I don't make the game. I don't make this game. The game is what it is. I don't know why people are not telling women this shit at a younger age, but if I ever have a daughter or a sister or whatever, trust me, I'm going to try to tell them this shit. Because they need to know the truth, man. They need to know the truth, man. The fact of the matter is the man can fuck up at a younger age. The woman really can't. She don't really have much room for error. She just simply don't. And like I said earlier in the video, you could take a woman and a man and put them at the same age, put them in their 20s, and say they made the same choices and the same mistakes. When they're both 30, the man is going to be able to have a way better chance at finding somebody that would really fuck with him versus the woman. That's just what it is. Just like if you take the same people and they did the same choices in their 20s, the woman's going to have an easier chance to get somebody to fuck with her versus the man. That's just the game. And it's primarily based off of what men and women are primarily judged off of when it comes to value. Not me, not my opinion. The game. Not your opinion, not this person or that. It's the game in general. And that's what happens a lot with successful men. Let's say a 30-something successful man. That's probably why he deals with the younger chick. Because when he was 20-something, he probably wasn't getting picked, or he probably would have a wife by now. 9 times out of 10. And the reason why he probably wasn't getting picked is because most women, when they're younger, they don't understand, for whatever reason, why they should choose this guy over that guy. They get it when it's too late, when they're older. They get it when it's too late, man. Or sometimes simply the so-called, what y'all call the right guy, the good guy, he's just not as experienced with women as the so-called players and bad boys who talk to any and every woman they see 24/7. So the women usually gravitate towards them guys because they're just better at learning how to I'm gonna say deceive the one. They're better at attracting the woman. They have more experience with the female. So women usually pick one of them and usually have kids by them or whatever the case may be. But then when she get older, that's not what gets her, what makes her want a guy, right? But it's going to be harder because them guys remember that. Like, I remember when I tried to do this or that, you didn't want this or that. That's just the way it is, man. That's just simply the way it is. The woman got it all when in their 20s, basically, and then in their 30s, men usually got it. That's just the way the game go. I don't make the rules, man. I'm not saying to some women it can't be the opposite. Sometimes sometimes men be like basketball players, 20-something, 21 or whatever. Sometimes they got it right now, and then they fumble good women and shit, or fumble their work, and end up on the corner begging for change. The Delonte West, basketball player. So it happens, but for the most part, it happens the other way. It happens the other way. So men raise their standards too. So stop saying that women are the only ones that raise their standards. Why didn't you pick the right guy when you was younger? Blah, blah, blah. Men don't do it either. Men do not pick the right person 9 times out of 10 when they're younger either. Difference is the way they are judged when it comes to the sexual market value is not the same as the female. Therefore, they have way more room for error. Plain and simple. Plain and fucking simple. This is why so-called baby daddies can still go get somebody to love them to death and shit. But it's harder for the female. He got 2 kids just like you. You got whatever, 3 kids, 5, whatever. He got mental issues going on, same thing. But it's easier for him later. Just like it's easier for the woman earlier. It is what it is, people. I'm about to get off here and take my ass to bed, man. I just wanted to let y'all know that shit, man. It's not just females who make dumb decisions when it comes to choosing someone at a younger age. Men do too. And it's just the fact that men don't have to suffer the same consequences at a younger age, at least. It's just the fucking facts. I'm not saying they don't have consequences. So if you're a young guy watching, I don't want you to think that, oh, well, I ain't got to worry about it. Nah, you still want to move like a woman should move at a younger age and do right and try to pick the right person and shit and don't play around. Because you still have consequences and effects for the decisions you make as a man. It's just not the effect is not as bad as it can be with a female. Because her prime is, I hate saying prime, you know what I mean, but the way she's viewed in the sexual market is at an earlier stage and yours is later. Hers is like pre-30, yours is after 30, basically. And we talking like, let's say 21 and up. And that's the issue. And a lot of people are not telling females this shit. You know what I mean? Or like I said, some women actually try to pick the right guy. You know what I mean? But the players are so good at convincing these women that they're the right one, and they fall for it and shit like that. And then later when shit don't work out or he decides to leave, she kind of stuck, and he can go get another woman, get girlfriends that love him to the moon and back. But it's harder for her because she has kids to deal with, and sometimes she has trauma mentally. And her guard up, all kind of shit. You know, sometimes she can't really be satisfied by another guy anymore because she already experienced this or that with another guy. It's a lot of shit that goes on with this shit, man. On top of the fact that she has to deal with younger female competition. You know what I mean? And on top of the fact the men's standards raised, just like the females. Oh, I don't want a girl to this, I don't want a girl to that. He didn't say none of that when he was younger. And if men say that I'm full of shit, they lying through their teeth. Because they standards raised just like the females. They just getting away with it because the game is more in their hands after around 30, because they're judged off of stability and success. So yeah, y'all, I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one, man. I don't got nothing else to say about it, you know. So y'all have a good night.